guys, it's Daniel here, back with a new review. And today, I'm going to be reviewing one of the newest animated movies that have come out this year. And it's quite a unique, well not unique, because it has, well actually it is unique, but you'll see when you see the movie. But I'm still here to review the movie. It's a animated Dreamworks movie that's just come out, combining the animation from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, mixed in with a nature atmosphere and technology, with the ideas of How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch director Chris Sanders. The Wild Robot. So the premise of The Wild Robot is that it takes place on an island that has been untouched by mankind, and a robot by the name of Rosm Unit 7134, or ROS for short, ends up washed ashore onto this island. She is unsure about the island's atmosphere at first, but she quickly learns the language of all the animals, as well as taking responsibility of raising a young goose who she later names Bright Bill, as well as befriending a fox named Fink. And together they basically try to work out like how they can survive on the island, as well as Roz discovering who she really is and whether or not she should return to her robotic environment or staying in her new forest environment with her new friends. Now, when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was immediately hooked. Like, the animation from Dreamworks, you literally just took out the animation for Puss in Boots and transferred it into your movie. And I know that Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate and Kung Fu Panda 4 weren't the biggest hits this year. In fact, I hear that Megamind 2 is just downright awful. And I feel like the reason why both of those movies weren't that great is because they were putting more effort into this one, which I could tell from the trailer. I mean, at first I thought it was going to be like a silent movie because there wasn't any dialogue, but then they revealed the voice cast and I was like, okay, I'll still watch it regardless, although there are some pretty good names and well-known names into this one, like Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Mark Hamill, Bill Nighy, Matt Berry, and Catherine O'Hara. I was like, wow, man, quite a few names. And also seeing Pedro Pascal's name in it is like, wait a minute, Pedro Pascal's in an animated movie? Okay, I'm interested to see it. And then I hear about the director of the movie, Chris Sanders, who, like I said, is the director for both How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch. Both awesome animated movies. I mean, like, look, How to Train Your Dragon. So, I got really interested to see this movie. I haven't read the original books that this movie was based on, but I can tell that they were clearly adding some heart into acquiring what the writers of those books had to an animated feature. So I was interested to see The Wild Robot, and I finally got to see it, and what do I think of The Wild Robot? I had a blast watching this movie. It is an incredibly endearing, quite brutal, but also heartfelt animated feature. So what do I love about The Wild Robot? Well, in my opinion, the best thing about The Wild Robot, in my opinion, is The Wild Robot herself, Roz, voiced by Lupita Nyong'o. Roz has definitely got to be an endearing and heartwarming animated hero. She may be like a robot who is really just programmed to assist, but what I really love about Roz at the start of the movie is that even though she has been put in these commands, she also is kind of smart on her own because she knows that this is a different environment, so she finds ways to adapt to it, like when she sits for a while to like process the language and understand what the animals are saying. And I think that this movie definitely showed Roz's intelligence very well. But at the same time, I love that she becomes her own character later on in the movie, because when she learns more about how to take responsibility for Bright Bill and also learning like the realistic nature of these animals, she starts to kind of develop her own personality, and we end up sympathizing and being admired by the personality of Roz. She has a few moments where she does have a bit of comedy, because her comedy coming from her misunderstanding, which were pretty funny, but also has some emotional moments that I couldn't help but feel sorry for her, because this is a brutal environment and we don't want her to end up in any harm or any way. But we also want to help her along this journey and help her form bonds with these characters. And Lupita Nyong'o, I think that she was better in this movie than she was in A Quiet Place Day One. Not to say that she was bad, I thought she was really good in that movie, but this in particular, like, this has got to be one of my favourite voice acting performances this year in 2024. She's so captivating in this role. I don't know, there's something about her voice that I just find so admirable, and I love how later on in the movie she starts performing her lines with more human and more sincerity as possible, and I absolutely loved her performance, and I really hope that she gets more voice performances after this film. Bright Bill is a very intriguing character as well, because we do start off at the start of the movie with him as a baby and being like, oh, and I do like how he kind of is adaptable to Roz's behaviour, like, right away. Because seeing the little bird being like, beep boop, I bet da ba, it's both funny, but also is kind of like, well, he was raised by a robot, so of course he's going to act like that. And I also like how he also becomes his own character later on in the movie, when he has his own wants and desires. And I found him to be kind of, like, sympathetic. And I thought Kit Connor, as voicing him when he's grown up, did a fantastic job with the role. And then we have a character that probably people will think will scene steal the movie, Fink the Fox, voiced by Pedro Pascal. I think that he was also a very cool character as well. He's very sly, he's very laid back and charismatic. We can tell he has some selfish intentions, but his dialogue and comedy moments make him so funny enough that, well, okay, he's pretty much a jerk, but we still end up liking him. And I like how he understands, like, the adaptable nature of the forest, because the forest can be a pretty brutal place. But he's been in it so long that he's expecting danger around the corner, but he's feisty and able to defend himself. And I do like how he grows a conscience later on in the movie when he starts bonding with Roz and starts bonding with Bright Bill. And we see that character development, and it's a very natural and well done character development. And just like Lupita Nyong'o, I do hope that Pedro does get more voice roles after this, because I think he was fantastic in the role. Although, did his voice performance as a fox remind you of Nick Wilde from Zootopia? Okay, pretty much everybody said that, but I wonder what he would have sounded like if they got Jason Bateman to voice him. But I thought Pedro was amazing in the role. It's kind of interesting because this is his first animated role. So, well done, Pedro. You're kind of becoming a big name nowadays. Another character that I couldn't help but feel admired by and felt just like his charmingness is the other Goose character. I can't remember what his name is, voiced by Bill Nighy. It's mainly Bill Nighy's performance that makes his character entertaining, but also admirable. He's wise, he's confident in Bright Bill's potential, and he is a very smart and brave goose, and I thought Bill voiced that very well. Also, let's talk about the animation style. The animation style, literally, like, if this movie was based on a book, then this animation style definitely represents the kind of book aesthetic to it, because a lot of the backgrounds really look like they were drawn up, like they were from a picture book, because they have a lot of detail, they have a lot of, like, personality to them, as well as the character designs, who definitely are designed in the way that they should be. Roz is designed like a technology-based character, while the animals are detailed with a little bit of roughness and muddiness and dirtness to them, so that it can make sense because they live in a very muddy and messy environment. And I think that the character expressions are definitely well thought out and very intriguing, as well as very captivating at the same time. And the score is also amazing as well, because it adds a lot of emotional scenes for the emotional moments. It has a few kinds of, like, endearing, like, relaxing music whenever Roz is trying to, like, learn about the atmosphere, and a lot of the song choices that are put into the movie are well picked songs, and I couldn't help but feel, like, admired by them when they're playing in, like, giant scenes. Like a montage scene between Bright Bill and Roz. The music they use for that is fantastic, and one of the songs, Even When I'm Not, I believe it's called, in the credits, I thought was a fantastic song to close off the movie. And I also think the movie can be very funny at times, because, again, a lot of the humour is based around, like, the miscommunications, but they lead to many hilarious moments and many things that are like, wow, I didn't expect that. And I'm not gonna lie, the film can actually get pretty violent. I'm not gonna lie, it can get violent. And Not like violent as, oh, it's so dark and doomy. No, I mean like physically and brutally violent. I won't say too much about how that could be, but man. But I think that that definitely gives the movie like a sense of confidence in the audience that is watching the movie to take it all in. But they also make some like hilarious moments with it. Like, it can be really dark and hilariously dark than I was expecting. But also dark in the way of feeling emotional as well, because there are some emotional moments. There are things that can relate for people who don't understand a lot of things, or for like parents and sons and daughters that can connect with some of the emotional moments too. And I couldn't help but feel sorry for the characters in these moments, and I think that Sanders presented it very well, and I'm interested to see what else he has in store for the future. Now, as much as I really like this movie and can admire the themes and heart that the film has, I will say that there are a couple things that did kind of bother me, and in my opinion, the main cause of some of these problems is the pacing. I felt like the pacing was a bit rushed. I mean, not rushed as in like, oh, we're not getting time for character development. Well, we do, and we do get time for character development. I think it's mainly whenever the film rapidly changes its tone. Because the film wants to have like a dark kind of side to it, but also having like a cheeky sense of humour as well. And you can combine it both very well, and for the most part I think the movie was doing it very well. But because the movie is kind of being a little bit fast, a bit hyperactive at times, I felt like these tones were kind of clashing for attention. Because one moment we're in a hilarious moment and you're laughing so much, and then just add like, oh, there's a character flaw in it, and then it's emotional. And then when you're really loving like the character development and emotional moments, it rapidly just halts so that a character can tell a joke or have a slapstick moment. And I get that the movie wants to like combine the two, and they, for the most part, I think that they're combining it very well. But I also felt like that because the movie is like so frantic and being so like fast-paced in some areas, it's really hard to like understand who this movie was being made for. But I don't know, I felt like that's kind of a problem I did have, is that sometimes I felt like the comedy can get in the way of the emotional moments because they're clashing for each other, and there were also a few parts where I felt like there was a bit of annoyance. And I also felt like there were a few parts where I felt like we could explore more with some of these characters, because I felt like not every character was given enough screen time, and I know not all of them are supposed to, but it would have been interesting to see them get character development, as well as having a few things in the movie that could have been added. Not everything was properly put into the movie. I felt like there could have been more character development with the other animals, and I felt like there could have been like a stronger like connection between both the dark stuff and emotional stuff and the comedy. And I felt like the biggest cause of this is the length and pacing of the movie. I felt like if they added like an extra like 10 to 15 minutes to the film, I think that would have been like just about a masterpiece. And it's still a great movie, no doubt. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything. I think it's a great movie, but I'm just pointing out the problems that keep me from absolutely loving it. But overall, I still think it's a great movie. I think it's emotional, I think it's heartwarming, I think that the characters are so admirable. Roz is a fantastic character and protagonist. For me, I felt like she reminded me so much of Baymax in a way, because of her curiosity and her questions to life. Like, oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate my stuff? I mean, it's not bad that they have the same qualities, but I'm just pointing it out. But I think that makes her much more adorable and admirable. And Lupita Nyong'o did a fantastic job. Pedro did a fantastic job voicing Fink. The animation is splendid, the music is fantastic. And although I felt like some things in the movie were a bit rushed, I felt like that the main conflict towards the end of the movie was handled very well, with all our characters like having their story arcs come together. And also they announced that they're making a sequel. And honestly, I would love to see more from these characters, and so I'm pretty excited to see a sequel to this movie. But overall, for the movie right now, I thought it was great, and I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it. In fact, I feel like one time I would like to watch it again so that I can find even more things to love about it, but I think it's a great movie, no doubt, on the first viewing. But anyway, what do you think of this movie? Do you love it? Or do you hate it? And what is your favourite Chris Sanders animated film? Let me know in the comment section below. And I think I should also point out that it's going to be Halloween soon, and I really hope I can get these reviews on Halloween out. And also stay tuned, because on Halloween Day will be the release of my horror comedy short film, The Vengeance of Critic Juice. Yeah, remember that character I dressed up as for the Poltergeist review? Well, I've given him his own spin-off, so look forward to that. But what am I going to be reviewing for the Halloween movie review? Well, let's make it a duology, and they'll probably be in 2 separate reviews, but let's review these babies.
Pennywise, the dancing clown. See you all in Derry next week.
Bye-bye. I'm Daniel, reviewing movies, TV shows, and doing videos. Till then, peace out, man.